Welcome back to another episode of What Else You Got with Mitch and Margot. How's everybody doing? Mitch, how you doing?
Good. That was some interesting new theme music, don't you think?
Yeah, I like it. Change can be good. Sometimes we resist change, but sometimes change is good.
Well, it starts season 2, so let's see how well we do.
Season 2? I feel fancy. I should have worn more than a sweatshirt. If I'd known this was the premiere to season 2, maybe I would have dressed up.
Well, yeah, I guess I probably should have dressed up too, but we're here now.
Oh, this is valid. You're in a t-shirt. I'm in a hoodie. Plus, I wore my thermal shirt because I'm so cold lately. People keep asking me if I'm getting sick because I'm cold. I'm not sick. I have a healthy, strong immune system. I've just been really cold lately.
Mm-hmm.
So, what else you got?
Well, so, since we're a couple weeks into New Year's, um, what are your thoughts on New Year's resolutions? Because I've got a very strong opinion on mine.
You have a strong opinion? Strong opinions like strong odors, strong cheese.
Are you saying it
Oh,
stinks?
um, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
It's refreshing. It clears out your sinuses. I too, well, I have strong opinions about a lot of things. I know I have a lot of opinions, period. I do have strong opinions also. But do I have strong opinions about New Year's resolutions? Processing. New Year's resolutions. I think I think New Year's resolutions are like flowers and chocolates on Valentine's Day. Commercial. Very commercialized, very much part of cultural peer pressure. I think if you want to set a goal, set a goal. I don't think that goals should only be set on New Year's. And so I'm not a big believer in New Year's resolutions. I'm a big believer in regularly setting and working toward goals. I don't think it should be done on one particular day of the year. And that's why I compared it to Valentine's Day. If you want to give somebody flowers and chocolates, give them flowers and chocolates. Don't do it because our capitalistic society has told you to do it. Don't do it because of peer pressure. Do it because you want to be kind to somebody. So, New Year's resolutions, don't need them. Don't use them. Don't care about them. How about
Oh,
you?
well, you kind of took the thunder out of my statement, because I was going to say New Year's resolutions suck.
Well, I didn't say they suck. They're
Yeah,
gr- they're great for gym owners
yeah,
because the new members who buy memberships at gyms drastically increases at New Year's. I don't know if you've ever had a membership at a gym, but attendance always increases in January, and the people who've been going all year long, they just know that's okay. We only have to put up with the crowd for a month and then they'll stop coming again because it was just a New Year's resolution. It wasn't a plan to change their life. It was just a New Year's resolution.
and just like what you're saying with setting goals regularly and trying to achieve them, because one of the big points that I go off of is why wait till next Thursday to start something you can start today or tomorrow? It's just one of those that why can't you start now? Now,
Yep.
if you
Oh, sorry, I have to interrupt. I'm going to try really hard not to interrupt, but this one I do because you talked about starting it on Thursday. One of my favorite quotes is, "Do you want to start one day or is today day one?" So start
mhm.
one day or make today day one.
Yeah, that's a good one because it's one of those that yes, you might have to wait till Thursday because that's when a particular store opens, which then you have a legitimate reason to wait. But like you said, do you want one day or day one? Just because it's one of those that why haven't you started now? Well, it's because it's tomorrow's thing. But it's why can't you start today? It's just something simple like gym. If it's July, are you gonna have to wait till January because that's when gym memberships go on sale, or do you just start today?
Well, and one of the benefits of starting today rather than choosing a day in the future, especially if you're talking about nutrition and what you're putting in your mouth, there is a diet culture phenomenon of, is that the right word? I think so, of the Last Supper. If you choose one day to start a diet, say it's going to be tomorrow or Thursday or next week, well, then it's a diet culture symptom that people will think, okay, I'm starting my diet on Monday. Therefore, this weekend, I'm going to eat everything in sight. Last Supper concept, eat it all because Monday morning I'm starting a diet. And then Monday morning comes and you may or may not actually start the diet. The diet may or may not actually work, but the way you ate for your last supper is not it's not a healthy practice. And so don't set a day in the future. Start today.
Yep. Plus, also, when's motivation strongest? When you have it, not later. And so it's one of those that if you're motivated to eat healthy and you know you need to throw out food, well, if you wait till tomorrow, then you're going to feel bad for throwing out food. But if you throw it out today, then you're going to be motivated to do it correctly today. You'll go to the grocery store, get what you need today, but tomorrow you'll go get the pizza and the potato chips and the dip, and you'll go, I'll do it again tomorrow.
You're bringing up 2 other great additional topics that I don't know if we wanna cover it in this conversation or save them for another day, but motivation is a topic for us to talk about because you said, "When does motivation start?" Well, that's a whole topic in itself, which I'm happy to talk about today if you want to, and then we are on the topic of eating. One of my I don't think I can call it my favorite book, a book that broke me and sent me to therapy finally. It was the last straw on my back, but it's a great book and I highly recommend it. It's called Intuitive Eating. And so it really addresses a lot of the things that you just mentioned about throwing out the food and getting a pizza tomorrow. There's more to changing your lifestyle habits than making a New Year's resolution. There's more to changing your lifestyle than cleaning out all the food that's in the pantry. There's more to it than that. And I think when you set a goal, there are steps involved. There's research, gathering information, defining the goal, setting measurable, accomplishable steps along the path. And so I think when we go with the mentality of New Year's resolution and or cleaning out the pantry, those those feel more impulsive to me. They don't really feel like goal setting or lifestyle changing. They feel impulsive and mm, not as defined.
Yeah, and now there's some people that the abrupt shift is what they need, and that's good. While, like what you're saying, it's impulsive for some, and if it's impulsive, it means it's not going to be long lived, and which is where kind of like the New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions is on January 1st, I'm kicking it in, and on January 2nd, I'm turning it off. And it's one of those that as you go through all the ups and downs and trying to start stuff, it's one of those that the easiest way to do it is, since we're using food as an example, if you want to eat healthier, you might put some broccoli on your plate today. Or tomorrow, you might take away the 2 slices of pie you had. Uh, and then the next day, you decide to add in carrots. And it's just one of those that you slowly add in. And next thing you know, in 6 months, which that's one of the interesting things is 6 months, not today, not tomorrow, but in 6 months of those small changes and that increased discipline, you'll find that next thing if your goal is a scratch kitchen, you can get there, and it's just one of those that you start by doing one thing at a time, because if you go to scratch kitchen today, you're going to say it's too much work. But if you go to scratch kitchen after creating small things one day at a time, you're going to go, I forgot how to microwave pizza, as now I can make my own pizza.
So, number 1, I want to know what a scratch kitchen is, and number 2, it would be really cool for us to invite some guests on our podcast. I know and someone who specializes in eating disorders and disordered eating, and she is an intuitive eating certified counselor. It would be cool to invite some additional people in for us to ask some of these questions to. And so the our listeners know that we're not just spouting random, unverified information, but we are utilizing resources. But tell me, what is I think I know what a scratch kitchen is. What is a scratch kitchen?
So, granted, there's technically a couple different names for it. There's an ingredients only kitchen. There's a no processed food kitchen. There's a you make it from scratch kitchen. There's a couple other terms, but basically, if it comes in a box, it better be the most you go is pasta. But otherwise, all you get is flour, sugar, eggs, and all the raw ingredients, and you make it from the ground up.
Okay. I have done that before. My current situation, living in an apartment with a really tiny kitchen, I'm finding that to be a little more challenging to have a scratch kitchen. A friend who also lives in an apartment, she gave me a great suggestion. She said, decide what it is you want to make, take your grocery list to a store that has bulk bins, and just measure out the amount of flour you need, the amount of sugar you need. So instead of having to store all of those on hand all of the time, choose your recipes, go to the store, buy the exact ingredients, and then take it home and make it. And so I've done that a couple of times, and it's worked pretty well.
And that's a great example of you don't have to go buy 100-pound bags of flour today. You can go get 3 cups of flour today and make your one batch of cookies. And yes, cookies, but it's at least homemade cookies.
Well, it's homemade cookies, you know what the ingredients are, and if you are being more health conscious and working on a weight reduction goal, then the additional steps involved of going to the store, buying the 3 cups of flour and the cup of sugar or whatever the ingredients are, those s the term that comes to my mind is like barriers to entry. You can still eat the ice cream, just don't store it in your freezer all the time. You can still eat the cookies, just make them from scratch. And if you have to go to the store to buy the ingredients to make them from scratch, you've got all of these pause points to where you really think, okay, do I really want these cookies? Where if you keep a bag of Oreos in the pantry, you want a cookie, you just go grab a cookie, and before you know it, you've eaten the whole bag. At least that's kind of how my brain works. But if you've got a few pause points built in, yes, you can still, and also it helps my brain knowing I'm not limiting my food choices. I can eat whatever I want to, but I'm not keeping the ice cream in the freezer. If I want the ice cream, I need to put on my shoes, drive to the store, buy the ice cream, get it home. And then if I still want the ice cream, I can enjoy the ice cream. And so to your point of going to the store to buy the ingredients for the cookies, it's a great concept to know you can eat anything you want to, just don't keep it all in the house and make it from scratch.
And just as you're saying with barriers to entry, it's one of those that uh, years ago I used to easily go through a half gallon of ice cream just because my bowl could fit 3 or 4 trips of scoops, and I realized, you know what? I like my ice cream, but I need to get better with it. So I stopped buying the gallons, the half gallons, and I buy only pints currently. Which, as soon as I'm done with the pint, which yes, pint's still on the high end, but it's still one of those I'm going. Once I'm done with the pint, I don't really want to go eat an entire another pint, so I leave the pints alone. And so it's simple changes, which really goes back to my goal is to eat better. And how you do that? You don't eat as much. How do you not eat as much? You make it where your portions can naturally size down. Because I would get a regular good sized bowl of ice cream and I go through it, and which is probably well beyond a pint, but it's still just one of those that by going to pint, it's less. And I would like to go smaller, but at the same time, going a pint does me quite well.
Hmm. Well, and yes, so a smaller plate, a smaller cup, and if you want to reduce then from the pint, you can either teach yourself to stop halfway through and put that other half away, or you can scoop it into a smaller dish. So,
hmm
size of your dish, size of your container, the size of the quantity you're purchasing, these are all helpful ways of reduction.
And I really like how you said to reduce the size of your plate. That's actually one thing that I did a couple years ago because when you get these big 12-inch, yes, this is a little bit more than 12-inch, your 12-inch dinner plates, some people have 16-inch dinner plates. So what do? If you put what you should eat, it doesn't look like much. So you add more to fill the plate. And when you fill the plate, you fill your stomach. When you fill your stomach, you fill other areas of you. And it's one of those that I intentionally started going to the smaller plates, the 6-inch or 4-inch plates. And when you fill up that, you're going, "Whew, I filled up that plate." And when you eat it, you go, "Okay, that's a closer to what I need." Which technically you still should go a little smaller depending on what you're eating, but it's still just one of those that there's something about the psychology of smaller plate, smaller portion, bigger plate, bigger portion. Because if you think about your Thanksgiving plates, how big are your Thanksgiving plates? I've seen these ones that are literally 2 feet wide by a foot, and I'm going, who can eat all that? But that's the size of turkey plates.
Well, and oftentimes our Thanksgiving plates are not only bigger, but then heaped up also. You know, you've got to stack your roll on top. Oh, that makes me think of a Mongolian barbecue restaurant. I love Mongolian. I want to go to a Mongolian. I think that sounds really good. But there's whole I'm talking about the places where you go through the buffet and you get your noodles and then they throw it on the grill and they grill it up, right? We're thinking of the same thing. So there's the strategy of you put certain ingredients at the bottom of your bowl first so you can completely fill up your bowl and then you pile the noodles as high as possible. Some of these Mongolian restaurants, bless their hearts, they even have little signs posted now that ask you to please not do that because from a consumer standpoint, it's kind of taking advantage of the restaurant. From a food standpoint, that's us trying to get as much food as possible. And I think that's a cultural thing. Uh, but I, this is making me hungry. This is like a psychological conversation we're having here. Uh, when I, switching, when I go to restaurants, you know, you were talking about the size of plates. Sometimes their dishes are huge. Just because they bring you all that food does not mean you have to eat it. And so I try to be strategic. Again, I live in an apartment by myself. I try to be strategic. So whenever I go to a restaurant, I intentionally only eat half of the food they bring me. And then I take the rest home, put it in a container in my freezer, and then I've got instant grab and go lunches for work. So just because all the food is on that plate does not mean you have to eat it.
Yeah, and it's one of those that, like I said, some you try to split yours in half. Sometimes I get a quarter into it just because I try to regulate, and I'm going, "Whew, this one's hit me more than I thought." And so, where you're looking at the price, going, "Wow, this is a $30 plate." Well, if you split it into 4 meals, that's $750 a plate, and you're going, "That's a pretty darn good deal for eating out." Uh, but at the same time, going back to plate sizes, I've gotten to the point where I'll eat just appetizers because they're a fraction of the price, and even then, I still can split into a couple meals.
Yes. Yes. And one of the other concepts from the intuitive eating book talked about intentionally pausing partway through your meal and having a conscious check in with your body and waiting a moment and seeing if you actually are almost full or if you are actually still hungry. Because as most people know, there's a delayed response from your stomach to message your brain about being full. And in our culture, people eat so fast that you can devour everything on that plate before you've even paused long enough to see if you are full.
20 minutes. That's loose because grown up, because I was one of those young, strapping uh, kids that would just eat the entire buffet. I knew that I had 20 minutes to get as much as I could. Because at 20
Oh,
minutes, that's when I would tap out because
oh,
it
so
would all
you did
catch
it
up.
you intentionally tried to eat as much as you could in the first 20 minutes because you knew you weren't going to get the message?
Uh huh. But it's just people do the exact same thing, or they've learned how to, if they drink soda, they're able to confuse and make more space where they can keep going. And it's just one of those that Know how you work and know how to work with you.
For your betterment, for your good, your no judgment. Please know that I mean no judgment here. The
Hmm.
concept of you eating as fast as you could, as much as you could for 20 minutes, that is not for your good.
Hmm. And grant that was in the young and dumb phase or era, and so it's one of those that I learned what I should eat, because I'm going, yeah. Then you go home and you hit the food coma for a couple hours because your body can't process all that. So it's just one of those that you you learn how you work. And so going back to what we started with, New Year's resolutions, and how we talked about barriers to entry, know what you can do, know what works for you, and use your habits, your strengths to help benefit your goals. And so like we were talking about ice cream, pints work better for me. If I get a tub of ice cream, I generally scoop a little too much. And it's just one of those, like with the gym. I have a personal trainer because that's one of the ways that I actually get there. And it's just one of those that if I didn't have one, I probably wouldn't go. And then other things like trying to organize stuff, force yourself or put things in your way that force you to achieve the goal you have set.
Yes. Yes. Make your environment work for you. I, I so many thoughts are coming back to me from that book, Intuitive Eating. I would love for you and I either to discuss that in another conversation or for us to invite a guest to discuss it with us. Because I think there's some really great information in that book, and it was eye-opening for me. And our country, so many of us have been immersed in diet culture and not even knowingly. And it was just a very eye-opening book to me, and it's really helped me take a closer look at why I do things and why those things are not working for me. And one of the I mentioned briefly the concept of pausing partway through your meal and having a check-in with your body to see if you actually are full or still hungry. Something I work with my therapist now is trying to be more in tune with my body. And she had asked me one time, she says, "Well, when you get the signals from your body that you're full?" And I said, "No, I don't think I do." And ever since reading that book, I realize I don't remember ever getting those signals because I was immersed in diet culture when I was in the 4th grade. And so my entire life has always been, and I didn't even realize this until I'd read the book. And so I've lost that communication with my body of hearing those signals, and so now I'm learning how to tap back into those signals. And one of the things I'm learning is my because she had asked me, "Well, when you feel hungry, right?" No, I just eat. I I don't prior to going to therapy, I never felt hungry. I never felt full. I just ate. I ate for a bunch of reasons. So now that I've been working on it, I've come to learn that my first hunger signal is my head starts to get a little woozy. So it's not a hunger pang from my stomach. My head starts to feel a little woozy. And now that I'm coming to recognize that, I'm like, "Oh, I think this is my body signaling to me that I could use some protein or I could use some water." And so it's been an interesting journey for me to try to get more in tune with my body.
Hmm. And it definitely fits with all the other goals of know how your environment works with you, know how you work, and because I know a while ago you explained to me why you have all your craft supplies right next to you.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm alluding to?
Organization from the inside out, knowing your personality and knowing what it takes to be organized in your space. If my paper was stored on the other side of the room, then I my space would look so much messier because it would just pile up on my desk because I'm not a lazy person. This is just how my personality works. I would not get up and go over to the other side of the room and put the paper away. But with my paper right behind me, all I have to do is turn around and put it away. It's when I'm crafting, if everything is within reach, I can take it out and I can put it away. And so my space is much more organized because I know for my personality, it works best for me to just be able to reach, take it out, put it away.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that I keep trying to do. And I will draw attention to my one of my messy desks, which it got this way because I was in the middle of a project. Another project got put on top of that project, and now I've got a project on top of that project. And so it's one of those that I'm going, all right, I need to work my projects backwards. And one reason why it devolved into this is because the spots that those not in use projects would go got blocked because I stuck something else there, slightly unintentionally, slightly intentionally. But it's just one of those that put things that will make doing the correct thing easier. I know religious people who want to read their scriptures, they stick it at their kitchen table right where they have breakfast because they have to read scripture before they can eat breakfast. Or some people put it on their pillow. They have to read scripture before they go to bed. And it's one of those that put things that you want to do in your way, so you must do them.
I like that. And also with your projects stacked on each other, that's also something you could think through and think maybe you could benefit from project drawers right there. Width and depth appropriate for your particular projects so that instead of stacking them on top of each other, you can open out drawers that are shorter that your projects will fit in. And so, yes, they're still stacked, but you can access each one of them. So, it rather than giving yourself a hard time because you've stacked projects on top of projects, ask yourself instead, could I change the system here? Could I work the machine part of my system and put drawers there so my projects or even shelves so that my projects can be there but not block the project I wanna access. Does it you understand what I mean?
Yeah, and because one reason why this desk is here is because it was supposed to be a temporary project space, and below it I have spots to stick mostly in progress projects. But me attempting to encourage myself to do treadmill more, I've got a treadmill blocking those project spots because I was trying to do a walking desk and it worked. But then after a couple of meetings that I got distracted, it kind of just became a blocker. And so I need to figure out how to work with that more. And it really just comes back to figure out how to make your environment work for you.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And and how to make your environment work for you. You can kinda circle that back to the whole topic of how do you feel about New Year's resolutions? Well, if they work for you, great, go for it, embrace it. No, no criticism here. If they don't work for you, don't do them. Make your environment work for you. So if the momentum of a New Year's resolution is good to get you going, then utilize it, access it, make it work for you. But if you know that setting a New Year's resolution is going to set you up for failure, don't do it. There is no rule that says you have to conform to society's expectations. Do what works for you. But in order for you to do what works for you, you need to take a minute to get to know yourself. Who are you? What are your values? What are your hopes and dreams? What goals do you want to achieve? Think about who you are today, who you want to be in a year, who you want to be in 10 years, and then sit down and come up with some goals to help you achieve and become the person you want to become. Make your environment work for you.
Yep. And just as you said, if New Year's resolutions work for you, great. If New Year's resolutions encourage you to fail and then you have to spend the next year digging yourself out of the pit, probably not the best choice for you. But it's definitely one of those that make it work. And that's really when you figure out how you work, you are able to use you to make the best you.
Yeah, I love it. What else you got?
I think that's it for this one. I appreciate everyone coming back for season 2. We've got a lot of great content coming up for this year's season, however you want to measure it. And again, we like, comment, subscribe, do all the fun stuff, share, and we will see you guys in the next episode of What Else You Got with Mitch and Margo.